Yo, what's up? Welcome back to God is Game Dev. As you remember from the last episode, I'm setting up the Spacesuit Gym competition. You could win $20. All you gotta do is be at the top of the leaderboard by May 5th. I invited my homies from Dan's Duels, an amazing community that I've been a part of for years, to try this out, and I hope to see one of you at the top. Don't forget, I've set it up to where you have to enter a secret word when you start the game, and then set your username, so that at the end of the competition, nobody can pretend to be anybody else. You sneaky motherfucker. No cheating. I want to see you all up there. What I got to do today, if you remember in the last video, Chelsea kind of had a glitch where she got stuck running to the left. I've seen it happen now a couple times. Stewie and Dia also recreated the issue. I could never get it to happen in the editor, but it's clearly an issue. So my plan is to go investigate it, see what's going on. And then after I fix that, I'm going to explain, well, I kind of already explained the rules of the competition. Don't cheat. May 5th, end of the day, I'm going to see who's at the top of the leaderboard. If you're at the top of the leaderboard, you win $20, but you got to tell me your secret passphrase. If you don't have the secret passphrase, you get out of my sight, okay? I'm not giving you so don't forget your passphrase, okay? After all that, my plan is to set the highest record that I can, and I'm gonna show you my run. And then after that, I'm gonna show you another surprise that I have in store. This idea hit me like a ton of bricks the other day. Anyway, you're in for an entertaining episode, okay? Stick around. So clearly something's pretty broken. Now I'm gonna talk you through how I go back and fix the problem. So I'm gonna do a little bit of investigation right now and come up with a plan on how to fix it.
One debt to society later.
Okay, I'm back. Easy peasy. I figured out what the problem is. Turns out, me from a couple years ago, I was still learning. I didn't really know the correct way to do things. I was probably following a tutorial or something, and I did something pretty stupid, and I'm gonna go into a quick explanation and show you how I'm gonna fix it. Check it out. So, we had the original movement system set up on the WASD keys, right? I wanted to move left or right, so I push A or D, and that was all controlled by a float, right? A float is just a number that has a decimal behind it, and if I push the A key, it would set that float to -1. If I push the D key, it would set that float to +1, right? Now that's updating every frame that the game is going, that the game is going through. I redesigned this because I needed it to work for mobile. So I kind of tapped into these functions a little bit. And what I said was, here's some ugly UI buttons. What are they gonna do? Okay, so no, kidding. What I said was, when I push the left button down, take this value right here and subtract it by 1, right? When I push it down, take this value, subtract it by 1. When I let the button go, then take that same value and add 1 again, right? So what that should do, right, is if I push the left button and it's already on 0, it'll set it to -1. If I let the left button go, it'll set it back to 0, right? Same thing with the right button. I said, take that value and add 1. When I let the button go, take that value and subtract 1. And that should always end up at 0, right? That makes sense? We all know buttons are my worst enemy, right? Problem with doing it this way is that sometimes you can double tap a button. As you see in the video, Chelsea's about to get hit by an enemy. She panics and she spam clicks, right? Now all of a sudden, Jim is stuck running to the left. And I say, why? Why is that? The input went through twice. That same input started at 0, then it got set to -1, then it got set to -2, right? So now when I let the button go, if it's at -2 and I add 1, it's still gonna be -1. Which means your character is going to get stuck moving to the left. And if the whole situation happened in reverse, then obviously it would get stuck at +1 and your character gets stuck running to the right. Now, this was all dumb. Should not have done it this way because you cannot interrupt this float in any way with the WSD keys when you're on mobile. So like, why was I even doing that? There's no way to, that was just stupid. What I should have done the entire time is instead of adding or subtracting anything, just set the number, right? Easy. Instead of saying x minus 1, I just say x equals -1 when I push the button down. When I let the button go, x equals 0, right? Now this works as a catch-all for both sides. If I push the right side button, x equals +1. If I let it go, x equals 0, right? So now, even if I somehow double up on the input, when I let the button go, it's always gonna go back to 0 every time. So that's it, boom. Problem solved, crisis averted, whole game saved. I'm the best, Shango swore, I did it. Moving on. Okay, so now it's time for you guys to see me try to set the high score in the game that I made. How loser is that? This is the spot right here where you have to put in your secret word, okay? For those of you who don't like to read, that's the spot right there. Just put a secret word in here that you gotta remember. I'm gonna put Frosty sucks. I put a couple scores up on the leaderboard already just to populate it so I could see the way that it looked on the UI because I had to make sure that everything fit or whatever. But yeah, here we go. I'm gonna talk about some stuff in the game that was probably intended or not intended. Like on this screen, this guy right here is totally supposed to have eyeballs. I don't know where his eyeballs are. They just decided to turn themselves off for some reason. But that's the type of stuff that happens when you make games. You just encounter, look, he only has one side of his hand. I don't even know how this happened, but that's part of the game now. It's in the lore. Anyway, let's get out of here. I put a sign for Stewie so that Stewie would know always where to click because he has a problem seeing buttons sometimes. So here's the button right here, and we're off. And good secret strat from the creator. I kind of intended this to function like Rocket League, where if you feather your boost instead of holding the button down, you get more distance overall for the amount of boost that you use. That makes sense? Man, it is hard to talk and play with it at the same time. I mean, it's got one button. It's not that hard to play, but it's like, it's hard to focus. Anyway, you get a huge distance boost by grabbing the red power-ups, the super boost. It's pretty much always worth trying to grab one of those if you have a little bit of time from an enemy chasing. Now, in order to make this not so boring, I'm going to talk about some other ideas that I've had for the game. I've thought about taking this exact version of the game, right, with a one-touch control system, meaning you only have to push one button to control how and where you fly, and then putting a weapon on Jim, and maybe as you rotate your mouse around Jim, you can aim that weapon and shoot at some of these enemies. And if I was to do that, well, first of all, let's talk about why I would do that. My friend Stewie really loves this game called The Binding of Isaac. It's a roguelite, and it's kind of got that control system where if you rotate the mouse around the character, you can control where his gun is aimed. And I thought it would be kind of fun to make a version of this just for Stewie because he really likes this game, where I have a gun rotating around Jim, and then instead of enemies showing up every once in a while, there's basically always enemies flying at you, and it'll become like a little action shooter / platformer, which could be a cool mechanic. It would just be a little bit interesting trying to chase Jim around the screen because he doesn't necessarily stay at the center. So that's already something I'm thinking about. When you get a super boost, sometimes Jim can end up all the way by the top of the screen, and then trying to aim your gun while also trying to follow Jim might get a little bit confusing. So maybe I change the way that the camera works now. Basically, the way that it's working now is I have an animator on the camera that detects whether or not I'm moving. And if I'm moving, it tells the camera to widen. And if I'm not moving for a certain amount of time, it tells the camera to zoom back in on me. And I thought that would be cool for this game because you're trying to see where the platforms are above you. But I also wanted you to be able to see the details of all the drawing that I did because I'm super conceited like that. This is not good. I don't think I can break my record on this run.
Oh, you son of a bloody blind?
So that's something I'm already thinking about. And that just gives you guys an idea of like the planning stages of game development. Things you have to think about before you even get started. You have to kind of have a plan of attack and strategy, and then fix your mistakes along the way. That's basically been my entire game dev experience. I never get it right the first time, and that's okay. If you're a game dev, or even if you want to become a game dev, if this is something you're looking at doing, failure is okay. It is okay to mess up. It is okay to make mistakes. I'm very hard on myself, but at the end of the day, I really do celebrate every little victory. Like every time I fix some small problem that's been nagging at me for a little while, it's one of the best feelings in the world. I think that I really enjoy game development because I really enjoy solving puzzles, and programming, building something like this definitely gives you the opportunity to do that. This was a terrible run, by the way.
Oh, what, you couldn't make that jump? Come on, man. Try again. Jesus.
How meta is that? That's me talking shit to myself for not being able to do something that I designed. This is shaping up to be like an okay-ish run. I don't think I'm gonna beat that 19,000 score, to be honest. Oh, I'm not gonna get a platform here. Oh, got saved by a bouncy box. Maybe I will. Let's see. What else would I want to add? So yeah, like, you know, animations, explosions happening, projectiles. I could scale those up and down to the beat of the music. So as they're flying across the screen, they're just like, you know what?
Bye.
This, okay? I already got that 19,000 score. That one's mine. You can't tell me it's not. I have the dashboard. I know the secret word, okay? And I don't need to be at the top of the leaderboard. That's your job. Go play the game, beat my score, so I can give you $20. It's not that hard. Oh, before I get out of here, I told you I had one more surprise, right? Matter of fact, let me Silencio. Okay? Before I get out of here, I have one more surprise for you. Okay? I'm not going to say shit about it. I'm not going to explain it. I'm going to flash it on the screen for 1 second, and it's up to you to figure out what's coming next with that information. Okay? You ready? Boom! Okay, see you next time. Bye.